to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw this clip, when I actually listened to the entire thing, the first thing that had clicked in my mind was some dudes who are older probably forgot how tough it was back in the day to pull a babe and to hit on them, or they never really went through the struggle of trying to get a babe in the first place. Because, like, there's just some things that us guys would probably resonate with better because we know the kind of struggle that's there. But anyways, I will get into that and how tough it is for guys. But before I do any of that, where the hell are my manners? I probably should have started with a very nice intro. So, welcome to Breaktime on My Side, your number one breakdown podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is a man who still believes that astrology should have been the study of ass, because stars have astronomy and shit. It is none other than your tall, dark, and mildly handsome man, Sir Denver B. The show is Raw Zone, where I like to keep it raw, I like to keep it simple, and I like to keep it straight to the point. So, no instrumentals, minimal editing, and it's just me giving my thoughts on a particular topic that I feel should be discussed. Now, while I was on IG about 2-3 weeks ago, I stumbled onto a very interesting video. And it was a reaction of a reaction. Because there was a babe on a podcast being reacted to by a certain guy who was being reacted to by another dude. I don't know. It's a bit of a long stretch, but either way, it's the dude reacting to the other dude that I'm really paying attention to here. And unfortunately, because it is 6 minutes, I can't play the entire thing. But I think about a minute and something, maybe a minute and a half, should be able to cover most of what I want to talk about here. So I'm just going to play it for you. So without further ado.
It's not because I like the bad boys or whatever. I like nice guys. But
No, you don't. And women need to stop saying this if it's not true. If there is a nice guy that shows up in front of you, shows you that he's attracted to you, loves you, cares about you, appreciates you, takes good care of you, does right by you, etc., and you don't date him.
These self-proclaimed nice guys need to accept the fact that they're not nice guys. It is very hard to find a self-proclaimed nice guy who does not feel entitled to a woman's affection simply because he thinks that he is nice. This entire video that he did is a 2-minute and 42-second rant about how women claim to like nice guys, and he's an 11 in personality, but they don't want to date him, so obviously they don't like nice guys. It's an entitled mindset that they have in which they believe that if they keep inputting nice, women are supposed to output sex. They view this relationship as transactional, like a vending machine. Nice is quarters and sex are a bag of Doritos. It doesn't matter that a woman states that she is attracted to nice guys and isn't attracted to you particularly. If she's not attracted to you, it doesn't matter how nice you are, she's not attracted to you. It doesn't mean that she's not attracted to nice guys, but you having this entitled attitude that she is required to be attracted to you because she has a preference for nice guys means you're not a nice guy. Do you see the nice guy paradox going on here? If you think that you're a nice guy and you treat women right so they should want to date you, then you're not being a nice guy for the purpose of being a nice guy, meaning you're not a nice guy.
Okay. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I honestly don't think that what dude was saying here earlier on was actually something that was that bad. Like, I can hear the sort of frustration and I can hear the pain that the guy with the, much more high-pitched voice who was perceived to be the nice guy was kind of saying it. And this dude just went into him. Like I said, it's like an entire 6-minute video. And the guy actually sort of spoke of how this guy was talking about everything and was calling it, like this is how incels will self-radicalize and incels do this and incels do that. And to be very honest, to kind of look at this guy as some sort of an incel is probably jumping the gun to a degree, at least from my perspective. Because when I listen to so-called incel, like let's just call him the incel in this situation, talk about the whole situation of the nice guy and how babes say they want a nice guy but they don't want a nice guy, I could understand his frustration because there's like 3 main things that I guess people don't really notice in this entire thing, which is, 1, it's actually quite hard for a lot of dudes to try and appeal and to hit on babes, and a lot of them are unsuccessful, and whenever they try to follow some shit and it doesn't work out, they'll get frustrated and shit, and I will get into that in a little bit. Secondly, a lot of babes don't know what the fuck they want in a guy. especially when they're young, early 20s and shit. Even when they're in their teens, hell, maybe even 1 or 2 30 or 40-year-olds. But mostly when they're young and in like the early 20s, they barely know jack shit about the guy that they want. And that's besides the warped perception of what that kind of guy is supposed to look like, act like, feel like, and sort of be. And then thirdly, what it is that women are attracted to in the name of guys actually does tend to vary quite a bit for a lot of women in relation to something that people refer to as the ovulation cycle. And I'm going to even explain that one first because there is science that sort of backs that shit up. Because according to recent statistics, it's actually been noticed that the kind of men that women are attracted to when they're ovulating versus when they're not ovulating will actually vary. Because when they're not ovulating or when they're on the pill, they will look for someone that is less aggressive, someone that is softer, kinda more protective, I think, and more caring. But the moment they're ovulating and they're not on the pill, they will look for someone who is a little bit more aggressive, someone who is a little bit more masculine in terms of features. So if they have a deeper voice, if they have a stronger jawline, it actually becomes more attractive to them. And all of that is sort of rooted within biology and shit. And, there's an entire discussion around that. So even the kind of guys that a babe will be attracted to can vary from time to time, which is why, babes who are on the pill might actually be attracted to different guys when they're on the pill versus off the pill. But like I said, story for another day. Then you look at the kind of guys that the babes are actually saying that they want. One, there's the fact that it does seem to be particularly wrong because a lot of babes will talk about how they want a nice, caring guy that cares about them, that always tells them that they care and treats them right and compliments them and shit. And the moment they find a guy that does that, they end up friend-zoning the dude, or they call him boring, or they don't even give him a chance. And that shit happens all too well, and it's all too common for a lot of us guys. And I'm saying this as someone who has been on the supposed incel side, and I've moved and I've gotten to another point, so I can kind of get where this guy is at with his current feelings and everything. And the interesting part of it is, when you actually try and talk to babes, you can even try this as a social experiment, and you ask them what it is that they want in a guy, and you ask them to describe what that kind of guy is supposed to be like. You find that it's actually very, very different from what it is that they say. And I've seen videos, and I've even listened to babes sort of do this, where they talk about the kind of guy, then you ask them to describe it, and it's very, very different. But all of that aside, there's actually quite a number of people, mostly the babes, because, they wouldn't really know much, but there's also a couple of guys over there who have no idea on how tough it is to hit on a babe, at least from a guy's perspective. More so if the guy's like introverted and isn't as social. There's a lot of people that do not know how tough that is. And as someone who's been in that position, much as I can say that I'm an ambivert now, like as someone who's been in that position, even though some people might actually describe me as genetically gifted or genetically privileged, I've had issues like that, and I can really understand how tough it is. Because the ability to muster the courage, to dispel whatever, thoughts of like, oh shit, she's gonna reject me, or I'm gonna be treated like shit, or something of the sort, and actually get the energy and the confidence to actually lift yourself up, take yourself to someone that you like, that you might be crushing on, or that you're just interested in, and actually get to talk to them is immense. It is absolutely hard for a lot of guys to do that. Yes, it will get easier over time and, with constant practice, but it is not easy for a lot of guys to do that, which is why a lot of guys nowadays don't really do that and just go straight to the DMs or some shit, or they'll just try and find a way to get to you through like referrals and all. But all in all, it's very, very hard for a lot of guys to do this. And worse still, there's not that much advice for a lot of guys to do that on, or, much as it's now mostly available, there's a lot of guys that don't know how to. So what a lot of these young guys will do, which I consider to be very smart and also very logical, which is a very guy thing, is to pretty much go and study the market. It's the dating market they're trying to get into, and the product is the women. So they go and they study the product and the market. And for them, that involves going to listen to what it is that women say they want in a guy. And for a lot of them, because they're introverted and because they've just been taught how to be nice people, They go and they listen to the babes and they're like, oh, we're so tired of douchebags. A lot of these guys ain't shit. We just want a nice guy that can take care of us, that can treat us right, that can compliment us, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you know what? This seems to work for me. It seems like a pretty good mating strategy to go with what it is that she says she wants. So they go for that. It's not that they're inherently bad people, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're always going to be nice, but they're going to go with that. And after doing that, they end up being rejected or being friend-zoned or pretty much being told that, I like you, but not in that way. And the problem might not even be how the guy looks, it's just the fact that he was nice. And they're frustrated because this is a situation where 1 + 1 is not equaling 2, because that's not how the dating market works, especially when you're trying to deal with babes. And I can totally understand where they're coming from. It's just that a lot of what these young guys will get in the name of pickup or dating advice is actually very wrong advice, to be honest. Shit like, just be yourself and you'll get the girl, which I honestly think is absolute garbage. I currently rank that as some of the most bullshit dating and pickup advice in my current category of things, mostly because I know how bad it is for a lot of people. But all in all, if this guy who was busy judging this so-called incel and, was busy taking a shit on what he was saying, would probably understand that it's very hard for a lot of these guys and they're dealing with a market that isn't based off of logic, then he'd probably help them a hell of a lot better, because just giving simple advice like, just try and better yourself and work on yourself physically, work on yourself mentally, which includes emotionally as well, work on yourself socially, and work on yourself financially, and you should be good to go. Like, giving advice like that would work wonders than just talking about how this qualifies as incel behavior. Because honestly, I don't think that this guy is an incel. And to kind of conclude all of this, I honestly don't feel like a lot of these guys that you might look at in this very negative light are actually all that bad. A lot of these guys are genuinely good dudes. They've just been fed the wrong advice, and a lot of them are just very frustrated that whatever piece of logic that they're using isn't actually working. Although, then again, I might be wrong about this, and maybe I might be defending the wrong people, so I want your thoughts on it. The DMs are open on IG, on Facebook, it is at Breaktime, on my side, on Twitter, it is at BagakaTheD. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.